So let's kind of get into the discussion or the part about the conversation. Now let's talk about the coons here. And that's what they are. These are the house Negroes of the system. Just think of the system is the house, and they have been given special privileges. So they think they're white, essentially, in the system. But as they can see, they're not, because the system is not going to cover for black cops in the way that they're going to cover for white cops. And this is what coons always have to find out the hard way, Nick.
No,
they have to be they have to be treated like everybody. They have to be treated like everybody else for them to get this. Now, the critique should never be, why is the system only going after black cops? The critique should be, what has happened to these black cops should be happening to white cops. That's what we should be saying.
Exactly.
Not somehow that these cops, something's wrong because the black cops are the ones that are getting this swift justice. Now, they are getting this swift justice because they're black, and the system is like, we ain't about to defend ourselves for these Negroes. We ain't about to go to the mat for these Negroes. That's absolutely not what's going to happen. Go ahead, Nick.
I just want to interject before you continue. Another good point to make is, what is it about the system of policing that make these black brothers and sisters turn on their community that you guys said they are here to protect and serve? So it's the conversation is, why do white police officers not prosecute this way? And what leads this system to make these people turn against their own community in such a brutal way over and over again with these black cop sellouts, right? But go ahead, CJ.
So how is this white supremacy? Now, they could have not, maybe they were attacking him not for racism, meaning they're not racist, but the act is still an act propping up white supremacy. And I'll give you an analogy, and I'm going to pass it to you to kind of give more of a detail, like of a detailed version, because I've heard you talk about this before. Now, in my analogy, I'm going to use a slaughterhouse. The slaughterhouse workers, the people who go in and chop up the animals, are these cops. The animals are us. Now, if to the animal's perspective, does it matter if the slaughterhouse worker is a good parent, is a good husband, goes to church? What does that do? When he puts on that uniform, he goes to kill the pig, the animal, whatever he's slaughtering. So that it doesn't make a difference who the slaughterhouse worker, if he's black, white, doesn't make a difference. But the system of slaughtering the animals, in our case, is the police state. So I hope that analogy didn't confuse you. I hope that kind of clarified for some of you. But I want to pass it to you, Nick, for an explanation from your perspective, or how you connect. How would you explain this to somebody? How white supremacy, this still is white
for the sake of this segment, because I think this would be a good one, because I explained before, this is why I said all the time why black cops are the absolute worst. Savvy Sav said it best on our show as well, that black cops are cops first, black second. The same way extremely rich capitalist millionaires, people like Terry Crews and Morgan Freeman who sell us out, they're rich, successful capitalists first, black men second. And I preach, and I'm glad that younger black Americans who lead the way on socialism understand this, that we need to have not just identity liberal politics, right? Not liberal woke politics. We need class consciousness. I mean, you're my brother, not only when you're black, you're my brother when you are in the same struggle and trying to increase the quality of me, my family, and your life together. That way it means you're a brother. You're not my brother if you put that fucking uniform on. You are literally betraying our community, and I am not going to soften my language to make these black boomers who've been brainwashed to be apologetic for the system that killed their sons and daughters. Period. And
imagine
go ahead.
Imagine being one of these black men here who lived through,
Yep.
quite likely, the same oppression from black and repression from the police state and how they occupy our cities. Imagine saying, going through that, being racially profiled, and then saying, I want to be a part of that shit.
Makes no sense. I want to share this. I think this is from James Baldwin. When he's talking about black cops. Big shout out to MHM for flagging this to me earlier. He said James Baldwin. This is my tweet. I'm pretty much saying the same thing when I said black cops are the worst because they have a chip on their shoulder. They feel they have to protect their fellow police. They feel they have to prove to their fellow police that they won't take it easy on their own. That's why they beat the shit out of black suspects. Like, see, I'm not taking it easy on them because they look like me. I can make it in this environment. And this to my point where I said cops are defunding themselves. That's the live stream we did before, CJ. Talking about how morale's low, they're struggling to recruit, more people are going early retirement, and they are defunding themselves because of lack of morale. And we need to continue to call out these brothers who selling us out and become police and make it a social stigma. Like it not only through these institutions that we must operate as a proletariat and as an intelligent working class. We gotta make it a social stigma to be a cop. I want to see more stories about, oh my God, we have another kind of recruiting. Goddamn right. Because if you have someone, they're like, oh man, I'm thinking about becoming a cop. You said, what the fuck you do? We having a tough conversation. That's not gonna happen. But anyway, back to the point. This is James Baldwin wrote about this. He said black policemen were another matter. We used to say if you just must call policemen, for we hardly ever did. For God's sake, try to make sure it's a white one. A black policeman could completely demolish you. He knew far more about you than a white policeman could. So he knows about. That's good. That's such a good point. And you were without defenses before this. Black brother in a uniform whose entire reason for breathing seemed to be his hope to offer you proof that though he was black, he was not black like you.
You were the peasant black. I am the accepted black by the whites, by the white supremacy structure, because I have this uniform.
Yeah.
And they feel, I mean, it's literally like you have to, you're not going to get hired if you're for black power. They ain't going to hire you for no cop. You almost have to show through the hiring process of how you're going to hate. You got to prove you're going to hate your own kind, I guess, for them to get into these academies. Go ahead, Zoya. You wanted to chime in?
It just reminds me of the doll test, which we've discussed with Professor Zinkis before, where these children are shown dolls of different skin tone, and they're asked which one is the good one, which one is the bad one, which one's the violent one. So we saw in those tests that there's a lot of internalized racism because white skin is put on a pedestal of innocence, and even people who are black end up having internalized racism. And there's such pressure to want to be accepted in this system. But I absolutely agree with you, sadly, that we are seeing that some people are trying to prove that they're one of the cops, that they want to be accepted so bad that they really go to these lengths and do these dehumanizing things. I watched the video and I just could not believe the level of aggression and violence. And that's completely legal as long as you have a badge.
Yep.